Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone? What's going on, Chip? What's going on the chain, people out there? January 6th, 2024. XRP predictions, cryptocurrency predictions. Is this the last year for cryptocurrencies? And the other big question, will anybody run against Senator Elizabeth Warren? John Deaton, that's for you. Chip, you ready to kick this thing off? We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do, and only an hour to do it, man. We're going to see if we can get through it. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain, everybody. Let me just remind everybody how you can support the channel. You can either buy one of Badass NFT, Badass Yeti NFT over there at XRP.cafe, or you can support us with the coffee, the Badass Yeti's coffee, which will soon be changing to Badassery coffee, because it will include all of the badasses that we have ready to release. And our next one is going to be the Badass Chimps. But let's get into this, Jeff. We've got
Badass.
And it is January 6th. Why does that date sound familiar to me, Jeff? Something about January 6th, just sticking in my head. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what it is. It'll be something, right?
It's definitely something.
But let's start off with this right here. Look, we got people rolling in. Ed's here, of course, always here. Oh boy, we got go ahead, somebody go ahead and kill Goofy over there. There's always somebody. You guys, mods, take care of that. Yeah, so let's jump into this thing. I want to talk a little bit about this, and this is from none other than, and he's probably not even here yet, but our longtime supporter, Rough Rican. I want to put this in here. He sent this to us here. I wanted to throw this in, but this here, Rough Rican. And Jeff, I saw something interesting. I was looking at his title here, right? So this one Rough Rican, and he put the A, and I'm like, 1A, First Amendment. Pretty clever. I don't know if that's what he intended to it, but I like it. Because you could put a 2 there. It could be 2A, right? So it's a little subliminal message there. And I don't know if Rican's in here yet. He'll probably miss this, but that's okay. But he talks about XRP listed in a large cap on the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund. It's a DeFi fund, and Grayscale Smart Contract Platform X Ethereum Fund announced a rebalancing of funds for the fourth quarter, and they rebalanced it with, you guessed it, XRP. And here's the story on it right here. Look at all that reading, Jeff. Isn't that fun? It's a lot of reading, right? So anyway, that's a lot of reading, and unfortunately I can't really blow this up. Let me see if I can do it. Let me manually do that. Let's do that. Yeah, there we go, because that was just not going to be readable there. This is it right here. So here it is right here. So Bitcoin, 69%. They ought to call it the Bitcoin fund, right? Because almost 70% of it, for all intent and purposes, is basically Bitcoin. Then we've got Ethereum coming in at almost 22%. So if you put those two together, it's the Bitcoin Ethereum fund. But then you've got a little Solana in there, 3.65, negligible. Even less is 2.5 with 2.5% with XRP. Cardano rounding it out at 1.62. And finally, you've got Avalanche, and it looks like they dropped out Polygon. Polygon was removed, which is interesting.
Polygon's doing pretty. Polygon's making some moves. Not bad volume.
Yeah, really, it's not so bad. I don't know what I don't really understand why they did that. Components of the basket following assets, information has been derived. So that's kind of an interesting thing. They go on to talk a little bit more information about Avalanche, but then they talk about XRP as well, a digital asset created by Chris Larson, Jed McCaleb, and Arthur Britto. And that is incorrect. So this is what always happens when you just don't. And David Schwartz. Did you know that David Schwartz also created it? Thing about most people don't realize is XRP was created. Its original name was it OpenCoin? What was it called? What was the original name of it?
I think it was. I think it was OpenCoin.
Yeah. So, but it was already created, and the gentleman's name who created it,
the idea
eludes me, but he saw it as a payment, sort of a payment token, and then it was gifted. It was somehow ended up over there, but these folks did not create it. Arthur Britto, David Schwartz. The XRP creator is false. That is not true. In 2012, they basically received it in 2012, built out of frustrations of Bitcoin's utility for payments. The XRP ledger, that is true. The ledger to which the XRP is native is designed to be a global real-time payment and settlement system. Okay, that's kind of true. I mean, but it was not designed at the time that they had this. It was not designed to be a payment. Who does this stuff? I mean, can somebody do a Google search? I mean, you can go over and you can see the history. It's like not hard to find out. So somebody just wrote this up. They didn't even have a use case in 2012.
It never was meant as a true settlement system, right?
No.
The asset
Correct.
itself isn't a settlement system.
Well,
So you think about through the XRPL, right? The XRPL has a lot of technology, but you can't confuse Ripple, the company, and RippleNet and the software that they've created for transaction, communication, cross-border payment, all those great things, and to be packed to create some form of a full settlement versus the XRPL and the XRP asset itself. And I think that's where you end up getting some confusion in the space, especially since, we're 10 plus years beyond. So, people forget where things come from, forget the beginning, and maybe we're going to forget the end also, as things start, the lines are going to start blurring here between Bitcoin and other crypto assets and differentiating the names and terminologies. Eventually, it's all going to be synonymous with Bitcoin. That's my prediction. When you talk about Bitcoin, you're going to start talking about crypto at large. Obviously, there's crypto. Some people, it'll be like going to North Carolina and you order a Coke and then they ask you what kind, and you end up ordering Sprite or something like that, or you want a Kleenex, going to be like, hey, where's my Bitcoin? Here you go. Well, how many assets do you have in your Bitcoin wallet? Well, got all these different assets in there, but
I don't know.
It's going to think that things are going to transition or they're going to destroy it altogether.
I don't see that. Look who's in here. Look at good old Ferdy. I haven't seen Ferdy in a while. Ferdy, how are you doing, man? Good to see you. And it was cool that I got to meet Ferdy last year. I believe it was when was it? Beginning of last year? I don't know. We hung out in South Beach. We had a great time. We had a good laugh. We had a really good laugh. Hope you guys are fine. Sounding a little congested. Are you congested, Jeff?
I am.
See, I'm not. That's because Jeff went to the cold weather, which I soon may be heading to. But he went there, and of course, what always happens? Third day in, fourth day in, sick like a dog.
Instantly.
Terrific. Every time I go to New York in the wintertime, I'm doing all right. Even when I went up for the Ripple party, I got sick, Jeff. But of course, there were thousands and billions of people just coughing and hacking up lungs. Everybody was sick on the plane ride, and that's kind of how it happens. What's going on, Larry? Good to see you, man. One of the things, Jeff, I'm not sure it'll become synonymous. I'm not really sure if that's going to hold true. I think the people in the know will not do that, but I think
not the people in the know.
The people in the know will know better, but everybody will probably go like, yeah, because people always ask me, how's your Bitcoin doing? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's on the news like every 20 seconds, like it's doing well, but I think when they ask me that, they're really asking me how my crypto's doing.
Right.
So I think there's I think that's really what's behind it, because they know obviously I have Bitcoin, but they also know, but I think they know more about the XRP, but they'll ask me, hey, how's that Bitcoin doing? Even my dad
will. That's all they know. That's all they're going to remember.
Or how's the crypto? He'll sometimes say, well, how's that crypto doing? He goes, I have some and it doesn't do anything. It just seems to lose steam all the time. And I'm like, it's kind of how it is. But let's just go this. Okay. So look, for example, look at this. For example, the XRP ledger can accommodate 4,400 transactions per second. Well, no.
What are we reading again? Where did this all come from? What are we reading? This article?
Is the press release. Well, this is from Street Insider, but I think it was a press release. Let's see.
Right.
It is a press release from about the Grayscale large cap fund.
Right.
Actually, no, it is Street Insider. Street Insider got it wrong. So I'm not blaming it's not Grayscale. Grayscale knows better. But look, Jeff, I did a 1 second. All I did was how many, I don't remember what my Google search was, but how many transactions per second? 3,400 transactions per second. I just Googled it. This is on the Ripple.com website. It took me 3 seconds to find out this, and they got it wrong. Now, it could have been a typo. They meant to type a 3, but they typed a 4. Come on, Jeff. This is shoddy.
I'm sure they're close. They're close together. They're close together. They're right next to each other.
That's how you got the name Kev, because the J and the K are right next to each other. Someone meant to type the
Right.
J, but they hit the K, and then you became Kev. And somehow I became Simon. I don't know how that worked out, but Kef and Simon is like, oh, it's a Kef and Simon show. That's a whole other show right there. But we can talk about that. But I thought that was uniquely interesting. I was like, what is going on with this, Jeff? I mean, you have to really wonder at times.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Then
different.
Crypto Eddie, she sent this out, and this is interesting. So in Politico had sort of like surfaced the whole idea that there is no new challenger to unseat Senator Elizabeth Warren. She also said that John Deaton's capable of flipping this seat 100%. The Warren anti-crypto army doesn't stand a chance against the pro-crypto army. We call on John Deaton to run. And I retweeted this, and I'm like, John, run, John, run. Because John Deaton tweeted out something like he was toying with it, the idea. And honestly, but the thing is, he lives in Rhode Island, so I don't know if it's like something he would. I think in order to run for a seat, you have to live in the place that you are running for. Like Hillary Clinton moved one time. There was in Arkansas, then she went to New York for like a month, and then she became, all of a sudden, she was running against John Kennedy Jr. And mysteriously, Jeff, and I'm not saying there's anything going on with this, but all of a sudden his plane went down, and then like she was like, she won the primary, and then she won the New York seat for senator. You remember she was a senator.
Well, yeah, exactly, and especially there. So Elizabeth Warren is a senator of Massachusetts, right? So he would have to move.
Deaton lives in Rhode Island, right? So
right, so that wouldn't work out. So he'd have to relocate. But it's interesting because depending on the race that you're in, I mean, in that case, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, obviously distinct. But let's say in the state of Florida, for instance, if you're running for a congressional seat, you don't have to live in your district for a U.S. Congress. You can live outside of the district that you're running for, but it's not the same for every race, and it's not the same in every state. So there you go. But in that case, you have to live in the state that you're running for. That's a given. So for Massachusetts, and then he would probably have to live in, I would think, in the obviously as a U.S. senator, you'd have to live in that state. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, with Hillary Clinton and some of the others, they run. There was a U.S. congressional representative at one time, and his primary address was in Maryland, and he used his mother-in-law's address in Florida, and I think he ended up stepping down.
Well, don't you remember?
Direct result.
Didn't Newsom just appoint somebody to replace the seat that was vacated in California, and they lived on D.C. or the East? They lived on the East Coast. So it's possible, but it's
crazy stuff.
Listen, it's not a good thing to do. So I mean, that would take a lot for John Deaton to run. Like he'd have to go there, buy a house. There's a lot of money to set this up. Then you have what I think would be great is I do think the crypto army, like I think everybody, Bitcoiners, Ethereums, they would all come in and probably support Deaton. Like he would start a fund. And I think that everybody gave a little.
Amazing.
He'd have a nice war chest to just combat her. And what would be great is a debate, because I think he would crush her in a debate. He would just blow her away. He would just crush her on every issue. And I think that's great to see that. Yeah, where do you complain? Ray, awesome question.
Badass Yeti. Yeah, badass Yeti. No notifications went out today.
Well, this is one of the reasons we do 2 shows over on Rumble, because the notifications always pop every single time without fail so far. And there's times where the notification will go out like 20 or 30 minutes later. They don't go out at all. I mean, we do the show. I don't have a notification, but I do get a notification from Twitch. Thank you, one viewer on Twitch. I really appreciate that. And we are on Rumble as well. So that's very cool. But Jeff, interesting enough, though. What's that?
Let me put the link into Rumble. If you guys haven't followed us on Rumble yet, jump over there, hit it, follow us on Rumble, check it out. We have a few people watching. There were a few more. I think they moved back over to YouTube. You still can't communicate with the rest of the group over here, or you can talk amongst yourselves in Rumble, but we don't see everybody communicating in our platform here on StreamYard yet. So we try to keep open 2 different windows to see if anyone's chatting over here on Rumble. But it's awesome. Ray said he always gets a notification on Rumble, which is good.
Right.
Rumble.
That's my point.
Delicious.
Well, at least you know we were on, Ray.
I can't share that
news, right?
There we go.
for some reason, but it was something else that I wanted to go back on. Simon in a smoking jacket. Yeah, I've got my smoking jacket still there, man. I mean, I had it on the other day. Everybody was excited to see it. All I need to do is have my old stogie, and then we're ready to go there. Where's it? Oh, I wanted to go. So Gary says aloha. Gary's obviously in Hawaii, but Gary is an avid purchaser of our Badass Yeti coffee. So yeah, you can put a little comment in there if you want to tell people how it is.
Chip,
It
I'm
is
switching my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi just switched. If I drop out for some reason, you know why.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
But
it's
it should
got
be
real
okay.
shaky there. But anyway, Gary roasted. It's roasted to order, so you can tell people how you like it. And thank you so much for being an avid supporter. Really appreciate you, purchasing the coffee.
And I'm back.
But it is good. And
And
today,
I'm
thank
back.
you, Jeff.
I'm back.
I heard you the whole time because I was talking and I was hearing you like, "Pop, pop," but you couldn't hear me because your internet popped. Drinking some. You can't even see the glasses like blowing out here, but I'm drinking some cold brew, homemade cold brew. This is Obsidian Bold, which I don't have I usually have the bag sitting here, but I made some coffee today. But this is the Obsidian.
I don't have much here, but I'm drinking warmed Obsidian Bold. Really good, man.
Oh, the cold brew. I've got back on my cold brew kick. It's amazing. Anyway, let's jump into some Deaton. So Deaton commented on this as well. So let's hear what he had to say. What did he got the notification or no?
On MSN.
MSN. Well, good for you, dude.
Is that still
Ferdy bringing the laughs today? Look at him.
What's that?
On MSN. Good for you, man. Ferdy bringing the laughs today. I appreciate that. So the Financial Services Committee, which run by the Republicans, new chairman Patrick McHenry announces hearings of the subcommittees on capital markets and digital assets, financial technology, and inclusion. Another useless hearing to talk about nothing, nothing. So John tweeted on this and he goes, "Hey, if you want someone to testify who actually represents the interest of token holders, not crypto companies, and who has taken on the SEC and who's helped expose just how much Gary Gensler does not protect investors, I volunteer my services. I represented 75,000 XRP holders as amicus counsel in the Ripple case, and I was amicus counsel in the Library case, and represented over 5,000 Coinbase customers related to the SEC suit against Coinbase. The company the SEC approved to go public and then 2 years later sued them, claiming the entire business model was illegal. So if you want the American public to learn what Gary Gensler and the Biden/Warren administration," I love how he did that job, "the Biden/Warren administration are doing to harm everyday regular Americans, let me know." No, Jeff, what they do is they go out and get people that know nothing about cryptocurrency. They go out and get people who are, I don't know, self-proclaimed like experts. I'm a self-proclaimed expert. Now, Jeff, if you'll remember, when the Democrats were running that committee, they would always get somebody from academia, right? And they would tell you how bad Bitcoin was. It was. Yeah, so it was like the worst thing ever. Somebody from Harvard, somebody from one of these which have exposed themselves to be like loser. But
Wait,
so I'm like,
say Harvard again. Say Harvard again.
Harvard University. Harvard University. There you go. Did you hit it?
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it either because I got crisp on.
I don't like how the crisp is blocking my stuff. It's filtering my sound.
Yeah, it filters it out for me too. So I didn't hear it either, but it's really weird. By the way, if you guys don't know, Chris, KRISP, is a fantastic plugin. Like if the dog is barking right next to me, you won't hear it because it filters it out. The downside is it filters out all of our sound effects. So the reason we use that is that it creates a transcript, crisp, and then we can go ahead and write it. It creates a summary and everything for us. What we talked about. I just
shut it off. Website. I shut it off on my side. Okay. It was crazy when I shut it off. It got a little like everything was like loud and clear on the speaker side. I shut off the speaker and got a little bit of staticky, and then it's good. But now I can hear the sound again. Man, crisp is potent. It's crazy. It puts you like you're right in the middle of a soundproof studio.
You can go to a coffee shop. There can be chaos around you. You flip up one of these virtual backgrounds, and then you talk to people, and you're going to be bothered because it's super loud and people are bumping into you as you're sitting at a table. But people are going to be thinking you're sitting at home in a quiet little room, and it really is phenomenal to do. So John Deaton, Crypto Basic, wrote this article. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, XRP community led by Crypto Eddie. I don't this is another pet peeve, Jeff. Can I just get on a pet peeve for me right now?
Go for it.
If you are going, this is like drives me insanely crazy. Like vertical videos, soccer
Mhm.
mom style videos, those drive me
Those are
nuts,
the
right? The
best.
second pet
Yep.
peeve I have is when people do this kind of bullshit right here.
What's that?
B. Garlinghouse. Just put Brad Garlinghouse's name and put the tag after it so you can actually read the letters and ignore the rest of it. Who knows who Sento Sumasaba is, right? We do because we know Crypto Eddie, but someone read it. Sento urge John E. Deaton one to unseat Senator Elizabeth. And then they hashtag Elizabeth Warren versus tagging her. Come on, man. This is why not everybody should be allowed. Everybody gets a driver's license and everybody can use X, but they should be allowed to, Jeff. But anyway, this one,
What is the Crypto Basic? Isn't that a website?
the Crypto Basic is just it's a website / they put crypto news out and stuff like that. Really mostly around XRP
Right.
and stuff. But yeah, there's been some hit and misses there. Like some stuff's pretty solid and some stuff's not.
Yeah.
We were urging that.
I mean, people keep, we're going to keep talking about this, but the point is that John Deaton can't run against her unless he lives in Massachusetts. If he lives in
That's correct.
Massachusetts, then it's great. Hey,
And I
go
mean,
for it.
that's a lot of work, Jeff. Going to Massachusetts and buying a house, like that's a hell of a commitment. It's like, well, I think I'm going to run. Well, then you got to put together basically a committee. You got to put together finance people. It's not like I'm going to run. Then you got to be able to, if there's going to be a primary, then you got to win a primary, right? It's not like I just signed up and I'm going to run. It's a lot of work that you've got to go through. And you know a lot more about
there may or may not be a primary. Maybe nobody's even contending to run against her. I'd hope they run someone against her, but you're talking about a war chest of minimum just to start out. Probably in the primary, you need $1 million. Beyond that, to go up against someone like her and the corruption and everything else, you're talking about probably double digit, millions to spend. Obviously, if you get the crypto community behind it and you go in with a really strong, freedom focused, decentralized focused, build the economy focused messaging, and you get the crypto community behind it. I don't know that there's enough cryptocurrency based issue voters in Massachusetts to swing it, but there's enough that can help finance it, but so that could be really interesting, but he would have to move. So that would be a massive commitment. It'll be interesting to see. I'd like to get some feedback on that to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I love this picture.
Someone's got to take her down.
She's like, "Come on, John. Seriously, you're gonna run, John? I'm an old lady that's drinking a beer casually. Oh, hello, my husband just stopped by." That was the best video ever. I still laugh at that because it's stuck in my brain, unfortunately. And John's like, "Are you effing serious?" That's what he's saying right there. I mean, it's crazy. So then Deaton said, he referred to this article. He said, this article says that I'm a critic of E. Warren. So that's where you put Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and then after you put the E. Warren, just trying to educate you people on how to do this, like so the people know. They're like, E. Warren, what's that? Let me click on it. Oh, that's Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Due to her anti-crypto stance. Now, this is where it gets interesting, Jeff. He says, I'm a critic of Senator Warren on so much more than crypto. Crypto is just one example, and it's not even the most important example, although we might disagree, Jeff. But if I did run against Warren, I would welcome a debate on her almost every alleged core issue she claims to stand for. Now, let's talk about poverty and income inequality. I learned more about poverty and its impact on the human spirit from a single weekend during my childhood than she could ever fathom. If you read John's book, he's spot on. And it's interesting. He does have this book. And if you want to learn more about the candidate, if you would, were to pack up his entire life and move to Massachusetts, which is a lot of things to think about, which, you would know that, he went to bed hungry often, and he, it was a rough life. Okay. And you see a guy like this emerge and all he's accomplished in his world. This is where I see that John Deaton could potentially do that because he's a fighter and he's always fought for but I'm sorry, Jeff, I don't know if the commitment could be that strong. You know what I mean? And he says that I know how to actually put a dent in the wealth gap because I did it in my own life. In 12 years as a senator, she's done nothing to help reduce income equality. Right, Jeff? What has she done? She put it forth how many bills?
Like the rest of them, nothing.
And not one bill made it. That's why people got all worked up about this crypto bill. I'm like, she's a loser. She's a born loser. 12 years in Congress. She's put all these bills forth. Not even one passed. You know why? Loser, Jeff.
Karma.
That's She's a loser, right? She's done nothing to help reduce the income equality. Her party had control of the House,
Well,
the Senate, and the presidency. And during that time, the wealth gap increased,
y-
not
yeah.
decreased. She's a one-trick pony, claiming that taxing the wealthy is the only answer. You don't improve income equality by putting more money into a federal government's pocket, hoping that after
Mhm.
the money is given to foreign countries, a few dollars might trickle down to regular people. How do you tackle the wealth gap? You improve income equality by getting the money in the pockets of people, not the government.
Right.
Thoughts about that, Jeff?
That's 100% right. You want to enrich the people, find ways to help uh, fuel the economy, help fuel the people, and it's not government that's going to do it. So if you want to keep taking money from the people so they have less disposable means to better their lives and their family's life in order to transfer wealth, which is what it's all about anyways, so as she's enriching herself and making 3-digit million uh, millions in growth in her own portfolio,
Mhm.
then what we're seeing is that the people end up suffering. She doesn't care. She had to cheat to get to where she's at. She had to lie about her heritage. She had to get, specific incentive when she went to university, when she got hired into university. And so it's been an entire career based on a lie. Now, that's where the karma comes in. So if you build your career based on a lie, then you're susceptible to all sorts of corruption. Similar to the resident that's in the White House. To say that, you got to put it out there, but there's another person that has his entire career based on plagiarism and lying. So is it a big surprise when the president of Harvard gets caught out plagiarizing and being super anti-Semitic, and then other members of academia are extremely anti-Semitic, or they also plagiarized, or they've been cheating, or that then you see the people that have come up through that same academia that are now sitting in office, like Elizabeth Warren, based her entire career on a lie, and then Biden plagiarized when he was in law school, just like the rest of them. And he should have been kicked out of law school. He should never have passed. But somehow they allowed him to pass that class and retake or do whatever he had to do. But then he plagiarized again in his congressional campaign, in his senatorial campaign, in his presidential campaign in the early years. He had to step down as a presidential candidate because he got caught out there on the media, and the media destroyed him over plagiarism. And now look who's sitting in office. So, do people have a short attention span? Do we now have more patience and acceptance for the corruption, the cheating, the lying, and the stealing? I think that's probably part of it. And I think we're kind of at overkill now at this point. I think everyone's reached that point, the pinnacle, that we no longer will tolerate cheating, stealing, and lying to the people while they enrich themselves. And I think that's the biggest joke on everybody, especially anyone from the blue team that thinks that she's actually out there trying to support anybody, that she's stuffed her pocket. She's guaranteed her family, and for who knows how many generations, right? She's created that wealth gap,
Yeah.
and her family's not going to have to worry. But yet, where did it come from? Who did she have to cheat and steal from? Who did she have to step on in order to get where she's at? And that's the point. So then you get someone like a John Deaton, who lifted himself up, built himself up, is out there still trying to help other people and build
Right.
other people up, while she's out there cheating and stepping on people to get up there to where she's at. She had to step on people, destroy people to get to where she's at, and she's still doing it. Whereas John Deaton helped and boosted people, boosted himself, and is boosting other people and is helping other people to get to where he's at today. That's a huge distinction. So as we reach out and we help our communities and we help our other people, that's what it is to be conservative, is to help other people succeed, not give it to the government and step on people and step on success in order for the government to decide where your money is going to go, and then open our borders and flood it with illegals that are here to invade our country. That's
Jeff, that
my
was
point here on
that
YouTube.
was incredibly well said because, as an asbestos attorney too, what was he doing? Lobbying for people who were, suffering with usually a lot of lung cancer and stuff, trying to the end of life and trying to just survive and trying to breathe. So, I mean, it's like a noble thing. And of course, his, career in the military and everything else, just an amazing story. And I really do say read his book. It's phenomenal. It's a good read too. And it's well written too. No ghostwriter. This is, the best. I actually personally, I started reading the book and then I had to switch over to the audio because there's no better person to tell John Deaton's story than hear John Deaton, his own words,
John Deaton, right.
talk about it. But this right here, Joe Buddy says, I wish that he would just not run as a Democrat. He's not running as a Democrat. He's running as a Republican against Elizabeth Warren.
Well, he's not running.
Well, I was saying
running yet.
That's true, but I'm saying, but if he were to run, right? That's what I was saying. He's not running, and he's probably not going to run. I know this is a fun thing for everybody to think about. The likelihood of him actually doing it, I don't know. I'd put it, we'd all love to see it, but man, it's a major commitment. Uproot yourself, and I know he's got a young child and move to another state.
Awesome.
I mean, I realize it's all, but you got to basically live there and you got to put together a committee. Then you got to put together, like, there's so much that has to go on. You don't just tick a box and say, I'm running. No, man. And you got to raise $1 million plus $1 million, $2-3 million. Like, there's a lot involved with running for this thing. But if he were to run, he would, I believe he would run as a Republican. He'd run against her, right? In a primary. So he wouldn't, he's not going to go up against her.
Yeah. And then here's the other fun things to think about, from Tim. Do you think Ripple and other companies, other crypto companies, would help finance his run against an Elizabeth Warren? That's where I think is a question mark. So depending on how he runs, I don't know that Ripple would get behind, but I think you would have some pretty big individuals that would get behind it. You might get maybe like a Jesse Powell. You might get a Brian Armstrong. You might get some really big names that would come out in massive support.
There's campaign finance limits, Jeff. So that's the thing. It's not like they could donate $5 million. Like, they could create a PAC, political action committee.
Well, you could create a crypto PAC. You could create all these different things. But I think you throw those big names behind it. You get a Brian Armstrong and a Jesse Powell that come out strongly supporting a John Deaton. Think about the flood of donations that could come in.
No, that's true. The community itself, worldwide. I don't care where you live. You're familiar with this case. I think there's 75,000 people would give something, right? In the XRP case. I think that, but also too, that was monumental for the crypto industry. And, I could see him going on, like, back on like Fox and talking about it, because these are real issues. And I love what he continues saying, you build wealth by owning appreciable assets. How do you get appreciable assets in regular people's hands? By allowing much more access to those assets and markets. Now, this is something you don't hear politicians talk about. They do it for themselves, like you said, Jeff, like you so well put that. But should the wealthy pay more in taxes? Of course they should. I disagree with that because I believe they pay enough tax. And if they're going to pay less, we can debate that issue, whatever. That's not. But you accomplish that by changing the tax code. No, you do that by eliminating the tax code. You do that by putting freedom back in people's hands, because the IRS was a sham that came in with the Federal Reserve sham as well. You get rid of the Federal Reserve, you create a sovereign currency, and you eliminate the IRS. And then you eliminate 60%. I like Vivek Ramaswamy says, get rid of 75% of the government workers, because all these new jobs you hear created, they're government workers or part-time jobs. They're not real jobs. And then they revise the numbers. So this I disagree with. But that's not here or there, right? We probably both disagree on that. But let's get something straight. There are 738 billionaires in the United States. And cumulatively, those 738 billionaires are worth $5 trillion. If we took every single penny from Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, Bill Ackman, Chris Larson, Brad Garlinghouse, Brian Armstrong, and every other billionaire in this country, it would pay 5 years of interest only on the national debt. 5 years of interest. That's it. And if you want to tackle the wealth gap, why doesn't Warren support changing the accredited investor rule, which prohibits 90% of Americans from having access to private equity markets? The type of investments that made her friend Speaker Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, worth $120 million. A Marine or soldier can serve in combat, lose a limb, lose their life, but they can't own pre-IPO shares of a company because he or she doesn't make $200,000 a year and have a net worth of $1 million, excluding the home. Yet Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren support raising that $1 million to $3 million. In short, I would love to discuss this alleged core issue with Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren claims to be for reducing income inequality, yet her answer to the problem to ban the number one appreciated asset, the world has ever seen. If anything, Bitcoin and crypto has produced more new accredited investors than any single asset in history. But her stance is so much more dangerous than just banning crypto. Her stance is anti-freedom. That's why we ban the IRS, Jeff. People who have the right to decide what's best for their lives, not senators living in an ivory tower built on the back of taxpayers, and certainly not someone who misappropriated someone else's race pretending to be Native American. This is me talking, by the way. This is not John Deaton. I want to make that, if you're on the audio podcast, this is me talking now. And Jeff, she got a cushy job, a tenured job, professorship, making $400,000 a year. And she did I think she taught like 1 or 2 classes. That's a pretty good gig, Jeff. You can get it. Then as a senator, she's worth millions, Jeff.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And they have that path, right? And she's able to live in an ivory tower. She's able to continue living in that ivory tower while she admonishes other people for trying to do the same thing. And you're 100%, right. And, based on what John has written there also, anti-freedom, and that's really what, this is all about is anti-freedom. So if there was a true support of freedom and financial growth and economic incentive for average Americans here, it would be about how do we make it easier, better, and safer for them to invest their money where they want to invest it. So if an individual can go and spend every last penny that they have in a casino, there's nothing stopping them from taking every paycheck and dumping it into a casino. That seems to be okay. You can take every last dollar of your paycheck and buy lottery tickets, which is another fallacy. But yet you can't take that same paycheck and invest it into a pre-IPO company. So where's the risk greater? Is the risk greater walking into a casino with your paycheck? Is it greater buying a lottery ticket? Or do you have a greater risk investigating, researching, and then investing in pre-IPO and having those opportunities to learn, to not necessarily have to become an accredited investor, but why not learn about investing? Why not spend more time, effort, and resources in helping educate kids from high school on in the ways of proper investment, proper financial growth? That it will bear so much more fruit than trying to continuously step on the people. And so what we always see from the blue team is that they think that they're right. They think the rest of the public is wrong. They believe that there should be a transfer of wealth, which is from those that have the means of production and give to those that don't work through a government program. So they want to take as much money as you can, just like in what Deaton was saying in that writing. If they could take every last penny that is earned by the wealthy, which is they want to take as much as they possibly can, and then they want to transfer it to the programs that they deem to be the most desirable. And that's where it becomes destructive because the government doesn't know best. But instead, if you could refocus those types of efforts and say, hey, you know what? We're going to make school better. We're going to find and make sure that we can help kids that are coming up from elementary school through high school into college, that they can be more self-sufficient, that they understand how to properly balance a checkbook, something basic. And granted, people don't sit down with a checkbook anymore, but to balance their economics, to understand what it is to live within your means, to not have to overspend, to then how do you grow and expand a portfolio? How do you research a company? How do you look for interesting opportunities in a new growth sector to where you could potentially, you could take risk? And that comes down to the individual person also. So if you have the kind of personality where you feel like you want to take bigger risk and you want to invest more money, well, you're going to have to experience the other side of it with greater risk, greater reward, greater loss. Some people are more cautious. And even as they start maybe investing in a mutual fund, maybe it returns, they get a 5-6% return. or something like, but that's where they're investing and they're compounding, over time. I mean, there's so many, critical elements through the education here, Chip, where it becomes, super, super valuable. But instead, what we see is an Elizabeth Warren that tries to undermine the entire market, undermine, individual incentive. And that's what it's all about. So it's the freedom to get to somewhere else. The American dream. The American dream isn't about mortgaging your life away on a house. That's such bullshit. That was never the American dream. I don't know how they've twisted the narrative to convince people that the American dream is about owning a house. It's not about owning a house. It's about becoming independent. It's about being able to support yourself. It's about being able to create a business. It's about, building a better life. It's not about buying a house and being indebted to the bank for the next 30 or 40 years on a property, or going to the bank and leasing a vehicle at $1,000+ a month, and then paying all this money out to insurance companies, and then having no money left in your paycheck to actually live and better your life. It's all about bettering your life. That's the American dream. People come here from all over the world to start businesses. They want to do better for themselves. They want to do better for their family. That's what the American dream is about, having the opportunity. And so what the blue team does is they want to take away the opportunity, and they want to push opportunity through government program. They think a government program is opportunity because it keeps you subservient to them, versus giving you the freedom of opportunity to build your life, to do significantly better for the next generation. And that's the American dream. The American dream is bettering your life so that your next generation is better off than what you started with. You always want to leave the next generation better than what you arrived with. But instead, they want the next generation to be worse off, more subservient, more reliant on government handout.
Man, Jeff, those were two solid rants today, man. Just package those up and print it right there. Good stuff, man. It was really great to hear. I wanted to get back to this, and then we'll move on to some other topics. But Neil Hartner, who is like senior software engineer at Ripple, working on on-demand liquidity, the ODL product, which I think they've changed the name of it. But he says running as a Republican, possibly the most Democrat state. Well, it is pretty blue. You fought harder fights. And then John Deaton said, well, regardless of who runs, the biggest misconception outside of Massachusetts is that it's overwhelmingly Democrat. I understand the perception when you see the election results. However, here's the truth. 60% of registered voters in Massachusetts are not enrolled in either party, identifying themselves as independent. Massachusetts has the highest percentage of independent voters in any state in the country. Did you know that, Jeff? That's interesting.
Yeah, I did not know that, but I had a feeling about that. Massachusetts, I had a conversation with someone yesterday. We're talking about Massachusetts versus California, both Democrat strongholds. Massachusetts is different. The people are different. The outcomes are different. Massachusetts, they won't give in to the nonsense that you see in California. Although they've given into a lot, it's not like California. California, I was shocked to some of the things that I heard about yesterday. The people that suffer there. How many people want to leave? Someone that I do some work with, he's trying to leave. He wants out of California. He said it's just so horrible. Their gas is like $7 a gallon. $7 a gallon for gas. Could you imagine? Dude, $7.
Yeah. Jeff for POTUS, President of the United States. All right. Well said, Jeff, says Mark Smithson. XRP Blinder says Elizabeth Warren is America's dream catcher.
That's funny.
Sure
That's very funny. This
Jeff,
is the best right here. Oh, sorry.
Jeff, that was awesome.
That was awesome. This is funny. I almost won the Powerball the other night. I had all of the numbers except for the first 6. Oh yeah, I didn't have the Powerball number either. That's neither here nor there. See that?
Yeah. So I wasn't going to put this on right now, but speaking of that, Jeff, I wanted to put this on here now. So Weetza Win put this up here. He said, someone in the Netherlands won the lottery. The total prize, 58.9 million, 589. You can't make this up. And there they are holding it. They're 589 million right there. It's like you got to love that.
Is that how you spell million over there?
Mojo. Yeah, that's Dutch. It's a little language called Dutch, Jeff. Postcode
right.
Ken.
That's
It's a
right.
tough language, man. By the way, I got some
Extremely.
Dutch art Hollis, and people always ask me what that says, and I can I know what it says. I translate it, but Mr. Huber put this one out. He says, here's the case for a bull run for XRP. First is 20% drop next week when the ETF is approved.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
It stays above 40 cents until the halving, with the Bitcoin halving. It remains a top 20 coin in the next bull run, and then it drops to zero with adaptation of a CBDC bridge currency. Womp, 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 womp. That was
Yeah.
some pretty stuff right there. I appreciate that. You gotta love that. And speaking of
That's
loving something right
though,
there,
no
Rough
matter
Rican,
what.
there he is right there, Rough Rican. I hope you were in here. We featured the very first story coming from one of your X posts today, which is awesome. But thank you for that super sticker. It does go towards paying the bills we accumulate here over at On the Chain. So really appreciate that. Anyway, you guys want to support, you can always go buy a badass Yeti or whatever. Any kind of support, appreciate it. But thanks. Rican is a habitual supporter right there. 56, baby. 56.7. It's almost 589.
It should be 589, and then it should just stop.
589.
It's going to hit 589 and then just stop, and that'll be the end.
Well, be careful how you got to like be a little more specific. It should hit 589 USD, not 0.589, right? Let's be honest. Let's be specific about that. We
It might hit
early, right?
Yeah, that'll be the end. Total supply.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a good thing, but oh, sorry, Jeff. I hit the wrong button there. I didn't mean to do that. Put yours back up there. Here we go. Here we go. There we go.
That was it. That's all I was showing.
All right,
down
so
20%.
I wanted to get into this because when I see great things happening in the world, I mean, I'm very stoked about. This is Captain McDonald. This is Aaron McDonald over here. He says, this isn't just a good day for us, but it's an awesome day for Web3. The creators of Ready Player One. If you guys saw Ready Player One, the movie, it's pretty interesting. And that was like what 10 years ago, maybe. When did that come out? But it was the whole idea of this this digital realm that you could live in, you know. And he said, so Ready Player One had every option available to bring this to life, but they chose to do it with Web3 technology and the Root network. And the Futureverse put so much. Jeff, I can't even keep up with all the updates. And, you know, right over there, I'm participating over there too right now with staking some Root and going on quests. And then, you know, we were both gifted a bear. So it's pretty amazing. But look at this right here. So because it represents the ideals in the story, right? So there it is, coming to immersive life. So on the back of that, let's see, where is it? I always hate when I don't have my story straight. Hang on. Let me go find this. Ready Player. Oh, it's 2018. For some reason, it seems. I always love you guys, man. You guys always keep it real here. But I'm trying to. Feels like 10 years ago. I mean, we've gone through a lot in crypto, man. It's artificially aged us. So we do have that Wave of Innovation, which is the nonprofit behind the Australian Gold Coast XRP Gold Coast event that's happening up here in March. But Wave of Innovation, thrilled to announce Aaron McDonald, the co-founder of Futureverse and Readyverse Studios, keynote speaker at the XRP Gold Coast 2024. Guys, if you're John Deaton's going to be there. A whole host of people are going to be there, from digging ditches to managing venture funds. Aaron's tech journey is truly inspiring. His dedication led to the creation of Futureverse. And we'll do more on Futureverse coming up because it's phenomenal. A groundbreaking platform shaping the future of technology. And they do use the bridge, like for gas fees, they do use XRP. So it's really interesting how they're leveraging that. They did get a pretty significant investment with Ripple and a bunch of other folks recently. But again, Ripple has seen, an emerging star right here, paving the way for startups that have collectively raised hundreds of millions. As the visionary behind Futureverse, Aaron continues to redefine. Now, we had Aaron on here. We got to get him on here again. But we had Aaron on here. It was July of 22. I went and checked. I was like, when do we have Aaron on? We talked about that. Beyond Future. You remember that, Jeff? It was a while ago.
A lot has changed. It's amazing how fast things are developing. And so you kind of forget, right? You sit back, like there's all these other things going on. And then a year and a half flies by, and with the chaos and the slowness in the markets, sometimes we forget about the rapid development that's happening in the space also, how things are just progressing and moving. And, we're moving on to the next wave of what Web3 and crypto will provide. That's what's really impressive.
Yeah, super impressive, and it was great. I mean, Aaron talked a lot. Like, we got to go back and look at that interview because they shipped so much stuff in the last year and a half. Man, the last 6 months, what all the stuff they've shipped and what they're especially with their music. People don't really know this, but their music AI stuff, and then to be able to generate NFTs from a 3D from prompts. It's just the tech is moving so fast. It's mind-boggling. The team that he has put together is incredible.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm blown away by what they're doing over there, and it's great to be a part of it. March 22nd to 24th, that'll happen in the Gold Coast. You fly into Brisbane, head over there. You're gonna be John Deaton, a bunch of other crypto eddies going to be there. We actually may be there, Jeff. We'll see. So it'll be a great time. And it's gonna be really built around there's a whole builder series talking about people that are building on the XRPL or how they're leveraging XRP in some way. So it's going to be quite the fun time. I wanted to put this up, Jeff. This is kind of a weird thing, but a new crypto tax reporting obligations took effect on January 1st, effective date. The amendments made by this section are be furnished at blah, blah, blah. And Jerry Brito has fought this, okay? He's attempted to fight this. He is the executive director of Coin Center, a DC-based crypto think tank. You seen this, Jeff? This is like really, if you
It
receive
seems like
10,000,
there's no think tank going into this. That's a problem.
well, he tried to fight it, but again, it was over. If you receive 10,000 or more in crypto, you now have an obligation to report the transaction, including names, addresses, social security numbers, etc., to the IRS within 15 days under the threat of a felony charge. Now, this is absolutely insanely ridiculous.
I don't
this thing-
understand if it's just a direct transaction or if it comes through the platform or what it is exactly, but there's no way of, what you have to be listed as some sort of a company, trade company. You have to be there's more to it. It's not just individual to individual. But it's super unclear. Like you said, just I've read through it. Doesn't make sense. Don't get it. Just
for
way too
aggregate
confusing.
transactions too. This
Yeah.
is the thing. Somebody said, "Is it a pure transaction basis, not net,
Mhm.
right?" And he goes, "No," but he says it's a aggregate. So if you get 2 or more related transactions that total 10,000 in crypto, this is
But look
this
at what
is
it says there. See, look at number one. Any person who is engaged in a trade or business, and
right.
who, in the course of such trade or business, receives 10,000 in cash in one transaction, or two or more related transactions. So basically, if we, you have a $10,000 transaction or two 5,000, whatever, if it's related to the one transaction, you try to break it up into smaller. But if you had, if you have 10 individuals that each give you 1,000, you're not reporting each one of those. So the whole cumulative for
I
that
agree.
individual transaction, that's how I understand it, has to be in that $10,000 vein. Um,
Well, she's making Lee Khan's making a good point. She's like, this makes it difficult for activists and journalists to use Bitcoin in the U.S.
yeah, they're doing everything they can to just make things. Now, if you're in business and you're using crypto, or using dollar, you're using euro, whatever it is, you have to report your earnings. You have to go through, you go and
We're seeing
report
within
your
15
taxes.
days.
They're just
This is,
making this more difficult.
but it's like the SEC. Who do you report it to? Like nobody knows. It's like, come on and register. Where? How do you register? Like so how do you report this within 15 days, or you could be under a potential felony charge? Sheehan says, well, Jerry, 6501 only applies to trade or businesses accepting cash or crypto in excess of 10,000, not individuals. Is that the case? The application applies to individuals if they receive 10,000 or more in the course of their trade or business, not just businesses. So if I'm a miner, even as an individual, I'm covered. Also, if I'm a day trader, even as an individual, I'm covered. If I'm an NFT artist, I would also, if I'm an NFT artist, I would, even if I don't have an incorporated business. Again, it's not just businesses that must comply, but individuals too, if they receive funds in the course of their trade or business. With all that said, it constitutes trade or business. Well, not exactly clear from Treasury guidance to date. No clear, bright line rule that I can find. This is ridiculous. You put out this is why you got to go to Washington, eliminate this, get rid of all this garbage. It was one thing Trump was doing. He's like, if you make a new rule, you got to get rid of 2 other ones. How about you make one new rule, you get rid of 150 or 1,000 new rules? You got to get rid of this stuff. It's just destroying the people's ability to move forward. Also, in the report we published a while back, blah, 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 blah. Let us see. So again, There was one other one I thought there was here.
It's so ridiculous. So something like this, though, this is where it gets pulled back, and they have to redo, and something will have to happen throughout. It's just they're trying to muddle and make things more difficult to utilize the assets. They don't want to help promote economic growth and foster growth. They're trying to do the exact opposite. You just have to be on the up and up. And that's why Andy's even saying parents can only give children a max of $17,500 per year as a gift. If you get more, you have to file as income, which is insane, right? This is my earned money, and I want to support my children. I'm going to give them whatever I want to give them. They shouldn't then have to report that as income. It's absurd. How many times does a US dollar get taxed in the course of you possessing that dollar? It's very absurd. The whole thing is our tax rates are ridiculously high, and people, we tend to forget how much intrusion there is actually on our lives because of this.
While you're doing that, Jeff, I was writing a tweet. I was, hey, Rep Davidson, Warren Davidson. See how I did that, Jeff? This is the correct way to do it. I'm trying to educate people out there. Hi, Rep Davidson and Rep Emmer, right?
Yep.
And then I have him because hi, Warren Davidson, that's pretty clear, but GOP majority whip. There you go. So you tag them like that. Can you please address this? This is absolutely absurd. And we're going to send this. So live tweeting on the show right here. Boom. Let's post it. Bam. Let's post that. There we go, Jeff. That's how it's done right there. We'll see if they do respond, we will. But I wanted to, so Jeremy Hogan commented on this. He's, hey, US guys and gals, in 2024, as you plan how to take a profit and become a crypto rich, don't forget to strategize for taxes. Holding a token for over a year versus less than a year can mean the difference between paying 15% or 30% in taxes. See attached. Yours truly. He should have hashtagged I'd rather pay less, but he said I'd rather pay less. And so this is another thing that's crazy, Jeff, because hang on a second. It looks like when he screenshotted, he got his volume in there. Q6, how do I determine if my gain is short-term or long-term? Blah, blah, blah. And what was the other one he tagged in here? There it is right there. Short-term capital gains. So this right here, and he gets into it with some people. Crypto Bull says, is there a holding longer than a decade for XRP holders?
There should be.
He says there should be. And then says, yeah, that'd be nice. Like an opportunity zone. It's like a 10-year rule. Hold over X years and then no tax, right?
No tax.
XRP Crypto Wolf said Jeremy is preparing people for when XRP hits 589, which we talked about earlier. Because I've seen some people say that they're selling XRP, buying another token, and then they'll buy XRP again after making some money in the other token. Fair enough. But now you've given up your long-term tax status on XRP and given yourself two short-term tax rates. Be aware.
That's right. As they're all if you have a margin, if you created a profit, that's a taxable event on that profit. So you're taxed on that. Buy another asset, sell that asset. Right, you're going to be taxed twice before you rebuy the next asset. It's tough because if you're trading, and if you're day trading, or even if you're just trading over shorter periods of time, you're trying to move in and out of the assets, right? You want to make your margin, but you have to assume that for every profit you take, there's going to be tax due on that profit, and then you have to figure out how to offset, but that's what people are looking for, that short-term gain versus, hey, I'm going to wait for my asset to appreciate to 589 over the next 30 years.
Naven B says, but if you live in Malaysia, no worries. There are no capital gains taxes except for gains in shares held in companies. Happy smiley face. Jeremy Hogan, checking on flights and remote law work as I type. It says, let's see. So Wendy O said, I send people and myself to my CPA. Of course, Wendy O, she's mostly about Ethereum and stuff. But Jeremy Hogan says you should share his info. And the number of CPAs who really don't understand this is minuscule. You should have seen me and my CPA going through my MetaMask wallet last year. It was horrid. And then she says, yeah, but he's on my website. Sadly, when I discuss the stuff on YouTube, nobody watches. So I just leave it up there and forward his info when people email me. Thanks, Wendy. Yeah. Happy belated New Year. How this one, Hapjoy, how to determine which was held long-term versus short-term. For example, moving years ago to a wallet and adding today to the same wallet and then pulling out of that wallet for profit. Do you just need proof that you just had a certain amount over a year ago? Hogan, you want to be able to show the transfers, at least going back over a year, but you probably to the purchase date, so you have a cost basis. This is getting incredibly.
And if you use some of those, I forget the different there's different platforms where you can API your different wallets into it, and then it shows you the movement and transaction. It helps simplify it a little bit, so that you can make sure that you make your adjustment. And if you don't have any sales, if you're not selling and you're not moving, you're not worried about it. But many are moving assets from wallet to wallet, or selling assets, buying assets. So you just want to, if you API, and I wish I'll have to look it up and see which ones we've used before, but they just help simplify it.
For sure. They go through it and they make this badass report. The tax rate in Australia is ridiculous. It's coming from XRP Lad. 45% for 1 year versus half of it for less than that. Yikes. Wow. Jeremy Hogan, yeah, the Australian Coast Guard is more expensive than I imagined. That's fine. Dan says, well, what about Great Britain? What tax is applicable? What if you sell at a loss and I become a master at buy high, sell loose strategy? I think we're all there. I mean, like, I think at some point we become masters in that. It's like, oh, I know it. Like, oh, oops. Hogan says, well, I have much experience in this. If you sell at a loss in crypto, just make sure you can document the loss, which is not always easy unless you're on a centralized exchange. Right. Good point there too, right?
I like that.
If you're on a DEX, like, how do you go back to how do you document that? This guy says,
first out. That's the other issue too. So if you bought XRP at, let's say your first XRP was $1, and now it's 50. Now you're selling at a loss because it's based on first in, first out, which is a really good point.
Oh, gotcha. Thanks, Jeremy. I was thinking FAFO. F around, find out. Thanks, Jeremy. I've had XRP for 3 years. I can't see any option to view records as far back on Binance. Baba Cug says Canada max is 27%. As if 27%. That's it. So it's just amazing stuff to see that, raising the question. A lot of people commenting on it, but yeah, that's why your best bet, if you're older like me and you can wait a little bit longer, you put it into a protected, like what is that called, Jeff, for retirement? What's that account called in crypto? Not a 401k, but something along those lines where, you're not going to be taxed on it if you're a certain age, a retirement age. I think you have to be 65 or something like that. But at that point too, there's a number of them out there too. So if you are going to buy, if you're in your 50s and you're like, yeah, I don't want to get taxed out the wahoo, or I'm not going to maybe necessarily move to Malaysia, that might be an option for you. But again, you're going to have to wait until you turn of age before you can take it out and not be taxed out,
Right. How do you like this one from Vincent? Taxes are securities, the government's expectation of profits, but it's the government's expectation of profits off the work of others. That's
Vincent Bryant. You are truly a scholar and a hero right there, because that ought to go on our shirts. Cryptocurrencies, and then put that back up. Put that back up there, Jeff. There we go. Cryptocurrencies, taxes are securities, the government's expectation of profits. Love that. Just print that right there, Jeff. That ought to be on a shirt. Really, honestly, should be on. And then Courtney says, thank you. And I met Courtney at the up at the Ripple party too. Really, smart. She's very bright and smart, and I have to say, she also talks about her running and stuff, and a really successful entrepreneur too. And so it's amazing how many cool people I met up there at the Ripple party. And it was more about, and I didn't meet her at the Ripple party. I met her at the Rob McDermott's pre-party, and Rob McDermott was just amazing to put that whole shindig together, because it was great. Jeremy and Hogan and his wife were there, and also a bunch of other people's blockchain trucker was there, and blockchain backer, and just a whole bunch of fun people showed up at that. I Trust Capital is one of them. Yep. Roth IRA is what I meant to say. Thank you, Paper Chaser. Sometimes it can't fit it all.
Set up a GoFundMe for John. I'll donate 25. We get a few 100,000 from the crypto army to do the same. And he's the new senator of Massachusetts. Easy squeezy.
He would set up. Well, I think what would give him a lot of press too. Let's suppose he like takes the plunge and decides to uproot his whole life and buy a house and go forward. I don't know, man. It's a lot to ask. Well, let's suppose he were to do that. John would set up some kind of he would accept all crypto, right? He'd set up something where you could send it to a wallet, and it would, whether it's Bitcoin, he would have everything available where you could donate. Because that's where I see like the Bitcoiners would be like, I'm going to pay you in Bitcoin. Ethereum, they would want to pay you in Ethereum. Cardano, XRP, Polygon, you name it. It's like they're all going to want to pay you in their whatever native coin that they're like big on, 2 or 3. And there you go. Send it off to that wallet. Obviously, he'll have to convert it to USD, but there you go. That's phenomenal. That's how it would work. Pretty cool. But again, I mean, let's stay tuned. I mean, I know he floated the idea, but honestly, man, it's a big stretch. But now he's got everybody like excited about it. And I just don't know what it seems a very complex endeavor. So I don't know if that would work out. I'd love it to happen. Unfortunately, we don't live in Massachusetts. Otherwise, I'd be there. But I think a lot of people would volunteer to sort of help them fundraise, and that's where I see like the big names coming in.
Look at Dirk in Belgium as a hodler and good house father. We're paying 15% tax.
Sounds really good. It's like Belgium's got it together when it comes to tax. I know a lot of European nations are very strong with that. And we ought to think, what's up, Norseman? Norseman, long time. One of the first subscribers over here, man. Gotta love that. It's always great when you see people that have been around. MYRO. There you go. What is MYRO? What's that?
I don't know. John the Crusher. Leon said, do you believe $100 XRP? I'll believe $100 when Bitcoin is over 100,000.
That's on the Solana chain.
What's that?
It's on the Solana chain. By the way, thanks for coming in. If you're still here and you saw the predictions, we don't really make predictions here on the chain, but we like to put fun. We like to put fun things together. And people are like, we say XRP 589, and someone goes, "That's clickbait." I'm like, "Well, did you watch it?" Because we like laugh about it and we joke about it because we don't really participate in. Do we think it could? Hey, man, there's a lot of things that I didn't think happened that ended up happening. I didn't think that somebody would be able to control the entire world and make you wear this on your face and make you do this and say you'll lose your job if you don't do it. I'd be like, if you told me that like in 2019, I would have been like, okay, job, and you want to bet me like, $1 million, I'd be like, easy bet, I'm going to win it. I didn't think that would happen. There's a lot of things that I didn't think would happen, Jeff, that ended up happening. It's like, could it happen? Hey, man.
It could happen. There's nothing to say that it can't happen. I mean, XRP hasn't gone over $1 for quite a long time. I want to see XRP go over $1. I know that, and I feel confident that Bitcoin is going to move to 100,000. I could say I'm very confident with that. We saw Bitcoin go over 45,000. It's sitting at 42, 43,000 right now. I believe that it could hit its all-time highs again, but it has to hit that all-time high in order to hit 100,000. But there's so many people that are doubling down on Bitcoin, so if we look at like Michael Saylor bought more, there's more going that route. We see what's going on in El Salvador, Argentina, other countries. Bitcoin is making some massive progress. Bitcoin hits 100,000, the whole market, in my opinion, will start trending up. Where that, I don't know. XRP has to go over its all-time high. It has to hit $5 at some point. That's going to be the tell. If XRP can't get over its all-time high, if Bitcoin's at 100,000 and XRP is still sub $1 or $1.20 or whatever, I don't know, Chip. I start having a little bit of concern about what type of possibilities there might be with the XRP at that point. But the whole market has to trend positive, and that means that that Bitcoin is going to lead the charge, my opinion, and it has to hit big numbers. But it will. You could already see it's starting to percolate with the Bitcoin. Just a matter of when. Don't know if it's this year or next year. 2024, big election cycle, November, lots of positivity. The markets are going to go crazy. Stock market's going to go crazy. You get the right president gets elected in 2024. Stock market's going to go out of control, wild. The crypto markets will go out of control, wild, because people are going to just be fueled for growth. That's what it's going to be about. That's how I look.
If the resident gets reelected,
I'm worried about that.
And you, well, if there's a crash, but see, here's how you avoid a recession if you're the resident. You say that it used to be 2/4 of GDP, negative GDP was a recession, but you know how you avoid a recession? Just change the definition. You know
That's right.
how you call it a vaccine? Because my polio vaccine, Jeff, I haven't had a booster ever because it's a vaccine,
Yeah,
it works, right? People think I'm anti. I'm not. But an experimental bioweapon that comes out, and it's like people are driving by with their arms out with these things over, and then just like popping it. You don't know what that is, right? So but
We're
that
going
right
into
there,
they're going into a Walgreens to get these injections. A Walgreens. You're
yeah,
not talking
it's
about
crazy.
going to your doctor's office, going into a Walgreens with people that don't even know how to give injections, and you're getting some experimental injection that has caused Bell's palsy, has caused fainting, has caused paralysis, has
Conspiracy
caused
theory.
heart disease, has caused
No,
all sorts of different things, and there's
no,
direct evidence to link it. A
no.
lot of
Yeah,
it's come out.
conspiracy theorist. You're
Uh,
talking crazy stuff now. You're a conspiracy theorist. Let's get to K-HUD here. K-HUD, longtime supporter, habitual supporter of the channel. Thanks to you, K-HUD. Thanks, guys, everyone. The run is coming. Take profits, pay taxes, and make money. Good advice. And also, too, Norseman, like I said, early supporter, longest, probably one of the first 100 subs. Norseman, thank you for that. Also, a habitual supporter of the channel. XRP goes $5. I'm selling 90%. I'm into 30 coins.
There you go.
Got the eyes, the bang, the shemang. That's a lot of people. So 90%, you keep 10%, and then, hits 10, 20, 30, 40. It doesn't matter. I mean, all I know is you learn from your mistakes. And when you buy Bitcoin in 2013 and you sell it pretty quick, and you bought it at 200 and change and you sell it at 800, you're shocked when it goes to 67,000. You're like, hey, man, I Forexed my money. And there was no precedent because it never broke 1,000, right? So you're like, okay, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. Anything can happen. So you just got to go with it. Thank you very much, Norseman. Appreciate all you guys here today. Fantastic. So Rough Rican, K-HUD, and Norseman for the support of the channel. Appreciate that.
XRP Peaky Blinder. Speaking of percolating, Yeti Java commercial break. There you go. Get some Yeti, badass Yeti's coffee. Put that in here. Andy also brings up a good point. Ripple didn't spend $220 million to just let XRP die. And I think that's a really solid point, right? That was the whole point of the fight against the SEC, was to show that XRP was not a security. That's where lots of positivity with the XRP asset, mainly because it's the one asset that actually has a decision on it that it's not a security. They say Bitcoin's not a security. Well, XRP is also not a security. The only two, mainly because government has acknowledged that Bitcoin isn't, and XRP has a court decision. And there you go. That's the growth of the space. Cryptocurrencies aren't going anywhere. I don't believe they're going anywhere. I believe that we move into 2024, 2025, 2026. We're already over 10 years into this thing. And you can tell when you have an Elizabeth Warren and some of these others that are doing everything they can to crush it. And they still can't do it. They still can't crush it.
But not crush it
They
in a
can't.
good way. They're trying to destroy it. They're trying to.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had Warren on.
Destruction. Right. From a destruction perspective.
Yeah, we had Warren Davidson on here. We asked him like, how is the what about the Blue Party? And like he goes, no, they don't want to just get rid of it, keep it under wraps. They want to get rid of it altogether. And how prolific was that we now have this call for it? He was like right on there on the inside track, and that was before we started hearing Elizabeth Warren talking about removing all this. So anyway, that's all the time we have, Jeff. We could talk another 45, or we could probably do 2 more hours without even slowing down. But it is an hour and 13 into this, so we are going to get out of here. Warren gave a new meaning to the blues. She sure did. There it is right there. That is it right there. You can't say that here, but that flies on the other channel. And you guys,
Norseman saying XRP hits $10 max, so drop huge to $1 to $2 or even less. This coming up isn't use case. Next one will be in 2028.
could be, man. I don't make predictions anymore because who knows what the thing is. Appreciate you guys.
Bitcoin's the only way to make money today.
We will be tomorrow night. We'll be over on Rumble and 8 o'clock 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's New York time, Miami time. And also we will be on Wednesday night. And we do 2 shows on Rumble because, well, we can say anything we want. And those are a little bit more towards the geopolitics side with the crypto mixed in. This is really heavily on the crypto, although it kind of like bled into the geopolitics. But that's what the show's about. It's about freedom. It's about decentralization. And what falls into that are digital assets and lifestyle choices, but also it's also tied heavily into the scope of how politics works. And it's not just in the US, it's a global thing. So anyway, Jeff, what do you want to say on the way out?
No one knows what it's going to do.
That is true.
That's it, man. It'll be great. No World War III in 2024. I think we're going to have a great year. 2024 is our year. Stay in tune. Come back here to On the Chain, because we'll give the positivity. We'll keep it moving forward. 2024 is our year. So I'm still fired up for November of 2024. So definitely keeping it real. Appreciate all you guys for joining us here on the chain, here on YouTube, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can see us on Twitter. You can see us on Rumble. Make sure you're following us on Rumble, because that's important. You got to check us out over on the Rumble. Let's drop that link real quick for Rumble. Go check us out. Get some badass coffee too, because the badass coffee, tell you what, the Obsidian Bold, go to that link that just went up there for some badass YETIS coffee. Actually, I don't see the link in there, but you get some badass YETIS coffee. Badass YETIS coffee, Obsidian Bold. Tell you what, I made that yesterday. My wife thought it was Segfredo. She was like, "Oh my God, this is the best coffee I've had in a while." And I said, of course, it's our Obsidian Bold. And man, that Obsidian Bold is the best.
She didn't realize that, or?
She said maybe because we've been traveling and Starbucks and everything, and finally get some good quality coffee. She said, "This is better than our Segfredo. Thought you were making Segfredo." So Chip, is it any good?
No. Fucking great, Jeff. Shop Badass YETIS coffee, and here it is right here. Badass YETIS. As soon as we'll switch over, but there's what we're talking about right there. There's the Obsidian Bold. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but it is roasted to order. And you're not, if you're a coffee snob or you enjoy a good cup of Joe, I'll tell you what, you probably never had roast to order. Order comes in, roasted just for you, and goes out. You pull the bean out there, you bite into it. And Gary was in here earlier. He'll tell you he's a big guy, and he's also a big coffee guy too. And he drinks a lot of the Hawaiian brands too. But there you go, right here. It's a dark Italian roast, badass YETIS right there. And then we've got this one here with the Noir Symphony, which is more of a it's a 6-bean blend, which is kind of nice. And then for you folks that like a lighter one, we got the Mountain Mist here, which is a harmonious fusion of dark and medium roast coffee varieties, which is also fantastic. And this one here is a little bit more of a morning blend. It's a little bit lighter, but unleash your inner Yeti every morning with their invigorating breakfast blend. And you see right there, that's how I feel in the morning, Jeff. When I get up, I got this little Yeti, insatiable Yeti thing. But there you go, right there. I'm going to play us out today because you guys were talking about a little bit about the Badass YETIS, but I'm going to play the promo that we did for the Badass YETIS Blue Tribe. And I dropped the links in there. You can always find it in the description, the Badass YETIS White Tribe, the Blue Tribe, and the coffee. So if you're always wondering, hey, how do we get that? That's how you get it. Give it a try. We'd love to hear the review. We haven't heard a bad review yet. I know people have talked about it's a little bit pricey. Yes, it is, but you're paying for amazing quality. And we're going to play out with that. So guys, we'll see you on the next one. Chip and Jeff out.
Discover the awe-inspiring universe of the Badass YETIS, comprising 7 diverse clans, each possessing unparalleled abilities and strengths. The Mighty Titans are a formidable and courageous clan known for their immense strength and valor. These colossal warriors are celebrated for their fearlessness and determination. The Pathfinders, cute, cuddly, but deadly. Expert hunters and trackers, they navigate mountains with ease. They'll find you if you hide. Trust me, it's best if they don't see you. The Templars are spiritual and wise, deeply understanding the spiritual forces that shape their world. They believe themselves to be the defenders of just and righteousness. The superior craftsmanship of the Frostbeards enables them to produce intricate tools and weapons using the limited resources available in their surroundings. The Shiverspine clan is the most terrifying of the 7 clans, known for their exceptional agility and stealth and ability to move silently and quickly through the snow and ice. With their telekinetic and intellectual prowess, mentalists excel as powerful foes and sought-after allies due to their ability to mentally manipulate the world around them. The Spirit Walkers attune themselves to the earth, animals, and the unseen spirit world. Their exceptional communication skills enable them to connect with the spirits of the land and draw upon their force.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.